Hello everybody, welcome to another exciting video on my YouTube channel. NHL focused. I do lots of different videos. I like to do videos about the NHL, and these are my fearless 2016 NHL Stanley Cup playoff predictions. As you can tell, Washington Capitals jersey. I'm a New York Ranger fan. They're my favorite hockey team since 1991. But sometimes when you're an NHL fan, you have to live in reality. And the reality of the situation is, for most hockey fans, is we pick throughout the year the Stanley Cup champion 3 times. At the beginning of the year, before the regular season starts, we all make our predictions, year-end predictions, yada yada yada. I predicted Connor McDavid was going to win the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. That was before he got injured for 3 months. I predicted the Oilers would have a better season than they did. Still not making the playoffs, but still sucking. Well, they sucked worse than I thought they would. And then, of course, I made a video proclaiming the Pittsburgh Penguins were my easy, early favorites to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the year. Well, halfway through the year, that looked like a really bad choice, but finally Pittsburgh got it together. And then I think every hockey fan makes another Stanley Cup prediction in the new year. So around January, early January 2016, every hockey fan goes, who's a good team to pick? Well, at that point I decided the Washington Capitals were the team I was going to predict to win the Stanley Cup. So that was pick number 2. And then every hockey fan usually picks for a third time who he thinks going to win the Stanley Cup. And that's at the beginning of the NHL playoffs. Well, and sometimes some people stick with the same team throughout the entire season, regardless of injuries, regardless of how they finished in the standings, yada yada yada, all that stuff. And sometimes you look at the reality. Well, at the beginning of this playoffs, I've decided to stick with the Washington Capitals to win the 2016 Stanley Cup. I just think after having a President's Trophy dominating season where they were the best team in the regular season by far, Barry Trotz obviously has turned this team around. Ovechkin is the only NHL hockey player this year to score 50 goals, even though Patrick Kane was close. And then everything their off-season moves, when they added, diamond in the rough TJ Oshie from the St. Louis Blues. They brought in Justin Williams from the LA Kings, who won 2 cups with LA and 1 cup with Carolina, and he's a Conn Smythe Trophy winner for playoff MVP. And then they added, Dark Horse took a chance on Mike Richards, also formerly of the LA Kings, who's won 2 Stanley Cups and has some good playoff experience back in the day with the very awful Philadelphia Flyers, who will never have a goalie ever in the history of the world. So I figured it's time to do, this is year 2 of my YouTube channel, and it's year 2 of my fearless Stanley Cup predictions, which probably aren't very good, but until I get killed by Mexican ninjas, or until Coca-Cola and bacon attack my heart and destroy it and crush it like a dark Sith Jedi or a sexy woman in high heels, distracting me and I get killed by a bus or something, I'm just going with these predictions. And so if I'm picking Washington to win the Stanley Cup, obviously I have to pick Washington to win the first round. So Washington will beat the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round. Rest in peace, Ed Snyder, one of the few NHL owners I actually ever cared about, one of the few NHL owners I ever knew about. As a hockey fan, I've always liked Ed Snyder. There was a time when I liked the Philadelphia Flyers, back in the Eric Lindros days, the Rod Brind'Amour days, the John LeClair days. And then once the Eric Lindros incident happened, and then they traded Rod Brind'Amour, which was the heart and soul of that team, that made me go, the Flyers are done. And yeah, I mean, I always you know, I didn't mind the Flyers for a long time. But anyway, Ed Snyder was a great owner. He fought for this team. He fought for the city, the franchise, yada, yada, yada. So I have a lot of respect for him and those types of Flyer fans. But you're not beating the Washington Capitals. So, okay. So in the East, I have Florida beating the Islanders. I think Florida is going to the second round for sure. I'm going with Detroit. I'm thinking the Detroit Red Wings are going to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in kind of an upset, or an upset. I don't think there's any kind of... I think Tampa Bay has too many injuries, and I'm going with the crazy... Detroit's made the playoffs 25 years in a row. The longest streak in sports history right now. And I'm going with Detroit. Detroit's one of the teams I've always liked and always respected. So I'd like them to do it. It'd be interesting. And it'd be cool for them to win a playoff round without Mike Babcock. Obviously, Washington, who's going to win the Stanley Cup, is beating Philly. And I'm picking the Pittsburgh Penguins to beat the New York Rangers. My New York Rangers. I could do a whole video about the New York Rangers, and maybe that's coming, but they don't have a legit number one center, and it sucks because I fight with Ranger fans on Twitter, and I've had this thing on YouTube before where if the Rangers somehow could have acquired Joe Thornton, who wound up top 5 in scoring this year when everyone wrote Joe Thornton off except this guy, I think Joe Thornton is the center the New York Rangers needed, or at least Patrick Marleau. And San Jose stuck with them, and San Jose, we'll see. But anyway, and I like Eric Staal. I've always liked Eric Staal, but he wasn't, I mean, I don't know. I'm just not sold on the Rangers' center position. I like Eric Staal, but I don't think he's the answer. And I like young players, but I don't know if the Rangers have the right mix. But anyway, I'm going with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't care if Malkin's hurt. I don't care if Marc-Andre Fleury isn't the starting goalie. I have more faith that Pittsburgh can score goals in the playoffs than the Rangers can. So in the East, I've got Florida, Detroit, Washington, and the Pittsburgh Penguins to beat my favorite team, the New York Rangers, which sucks, but that's the reality of the world. In the West, I've got the Dallas Stars to beat the Minnesota Wild. No, I don't actually. Bam! Cut that. No editing, no Jewish magic, no nothing like that. I've got Minnesota upsetting the Dallas Stars. I've got the Anaheim Ducks beating Nashville. And then we come to two teams in the West. See, Washington has always been called the San Jose Sharks of the East, where they do a lot in the regular season. Sometimes they have really good years. Sometimes they win a President's Trophy, yada, yada, yada. But they never do anything in the playoffs. Well, the West, there's two teams that have that special, unique, marquee nickname, bad luck, bad mojo, bad karma. And they're the St. Louis Blues and the San Jose Sharks. They never do anything. They have great regular seasons. Sometimes they win President's Trophies, best season in the in the NHL in the regular season, but they can never get it done in the playoffs. So Washington is the bad luck East team, but this is the year where Washington is going to do it because of TJ Oshie, because of Justin Williams, because of Mike Richards, because of Alex Ovechkin is finally going to get a Stanley Cup. And him and Crosby can continue their, battle of who's better, who's the superior talent. But San Jose, I'm surprised they're in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure I picked them to miss the playoffs in a video 9 months ago. But the LA Kings, man. The LA Kings are probably my second favorite hockey team. And probably have been since the Gretzky era. Back in the day, I've loved LA, even during the dark times, and I think LA is going to beat San Jose, and I honestly think it's going to be LA and Washington in the Stanley Cup Final. That's what I think right now. I think it's LA and Washington. I think at the beginning of the year, I was picking Anaheim and Pittsburgh, but playoffs, you got to go with LA and Washington. So LA beats San Jose, but I think San Jose puts up a very good fight. It's a tough series, maybe the best series of the first round. And then we get to the St. Louis Blues, another team that I've enjoyed watching through the years, and they're playing the Chicago Blackhawks, the legit dynasty of the NHL right now. People know, hockey fans know usually, If Chicago doesn't win the Stanley Cup, usually it's LA. If LA doesn't win the Stanley Cup, usually it's Chicago. If one of them doesn't get to the final, yada, yada, yada. That's how it seems like it's been for the last 5, 6, 7 years. I'm picking the St. Louis Blues finally to win a playoff round and beat the Chicago Blackhawks. I know. I'm shocked too. I'm going with the St. Louis Blues to beat the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Chicago Blackhawks, in round 1. So in the West, we've got the Minnesota Wild, we've got St. Louis Blues, Anaheim Ducks, and the LA Kings. And in the East, I've got the Florida Panthers, Detroit Red Wings, Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Washington Capitals advancing past the first round of the 2016 Stanley Cup playoffs. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, hit like, comment below, let me know. A little Jeremy Johns thing there. Subscribe, already said that. Follow me on Twitter, on my PC Twitter. Follow me on Instagram if you like. Leave a comment. Tell me your hockey predictions. Tell me if I'm crazy. Tell me if I'm on drugs. I'm not on drugs. I'm straight edge. But tell me I'm crazy. Tell me the Mexican ninjas are coming. Tell me that we can't live in a world where this Canadian man from Edmonton and super porn star Mia Khalifa, who is also a Washington Capitals fan and extremely hot, can agree on the same thing. Worlds colliding. It's crazy. It's like Donald Trump picking the Washington Capitals to win. Craziness. It's like Ted Cruz. Fuck Ted Cruz. He's Canadian. He can't run for president. It's crazy, America. America, wake up. Ted Cruz. He hates women. His own family hates him. I love that this Stanley Cup playoff round 1 is going all over the place. That's okay. That's what I do in my YouTube channels. No editing, hardly any planning. It's year 2, beginning of year 2. I don't care. This is what you gotta do. Sometimes you gotta be crazy. You know? Shout out to my friend Mark, who hasn't seen a Margot Robbie movie he hasn't loved. Boom! And yeah. That's it. I don't know what else to say. So, yeah. Comment, yada yada yada, all that stuff. I like Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. I thought it was awesome. I'm looking forward to Civil War, even though it'll be nothing like the comics. Because Spider-Man was 30 years old and not a fucking teenager. Ah, Marvel, fuck teenagers and this high school bullshit and Twilight and Hunger Games and all this stuff. Anyway, Drew Doughty better be nominated for the Norris Trophy. Erik Karlsson is overrated as a defenseman. What else can I say? I can't believe Ottawa fired their head coach. They're so stupid. They never should have fired Paul McLean. That's it. I can't believe the Oilers still suck as bad as they do. And as bad as the Oilers suck, and as bad as, you know, the Flames suck, the Flames were still a better team than the Oilers. Anyway, yeah, going off crazy. Patrick Kane probably will win the Hart Trophy, but he's not winning a Stanley Cup this year because he already has 3. Let Ovi have 1. Ovi, finally, you've won the Hart Trophy many times. You scored 50 goals 6 or 7 times in your career. You're the best goal scorer in the history of the NHL right now, playing. You're the best Russian hockey player maybe of all time, or you're approaching. This is your year. Washington Capitals. Barry Trotz. You know, Nicholas Backstrom. John Carlson. It's going to happen. Braden Holtby, who's probably going to win the Vezina Trophy. All of these factors. Mike Richards. Justin Williams. TJ Oshie. It's going to happen. Washington Capitals. All right. Thanks. Cheers. Yada, yada, yada. Support local charities. You know, adopt animals from, you know, that have been abused. And never tolerate any kind of form of abuse towards a woman. If you know a woman who's getting hit, abused, beaten up, you know, help her. Beat up the scum. Beat up any kind of man who hurts a woman or hurts an animal. Unless it's a werewolf. Unless a werewolf comes and attacks you, then you can kill that werewolf. Unless you were swimming in the ocean and Jaws comes and eats you and wants to eat you, that's okay. But you don't hurt dogs. You don't hurt little kitty cats. You don't hurt bunny rabbits or turtles. Craziness. Video went all over the place. That's okay. That's how I roll. Cheers. Thanks. Go see Batman v Superman. Go see it in IMAX. Go Washington Capitals, and maybe the New York Rangers will get a legit #1 center. Peace.